Welcome, my chingus, to episode 11 of Two Waygooks in Korea. My name is Steven.
My name's Josh.
And we are both English teachers living in South Korea. And in this episode, we are going to talk about working in a Korean school.
Yeah, what it's like, what's kind of different from the American school system that we know of.
And how it kind of affects you as a teacher.
Yep.
So the first thing, the big thing in Korea, they have homerooms in Korea.
With homeroom teachers.
Yeah.
So basically, their homeroom and homeroom teacher, the homeroom teacher is responsible for all of the students in their room. Kind of whenever there's a student acting up in your class, you kind of want to go speak to the homeroom teacher. Sometimes it's not the co-teacher that you have.
Sure.
So,
and it's a really big thing because, I mean, in America, at least America, I know some other countries, usually Eastern, Japan, China, do homerooms too. But in America, you have periods, you get a schedule, you go to different periods. Everybody's different in your classes unless you're lucky and you're with the kind of your one or two friends.
It's kind of like a boiled down college system, right? You take certain subjects and you see those teachers every day.
Yeah.
And it's like same period usually every day. But with homeroom teachers in Korea, the class kind of moves as a whole to each subject.
Yeah. So it's really important because you meet those 30 friends or people in your class and you're with them the entire year.
Yeah.
Maybe you're lucky, like for example, my school is lucky we have a little bit extra money, so they have level teachers, so that means you can split up classes to low level classes, medium level classes, high level classes. So you do kind of separate and merge sometimes with other classes, but in general, you're with those same people the whole year. And that's, for example, like that's what makes bullying really bad in Asian schools because you're with the same people every day.
And if they exclude you, then you are excluded.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed. But it's also a big deal because the homeroom teacher is who decides how that class is like.
Yeah.
If you have a really strict homeroom teacher, that class is usually really well run.
Yeah. And it's for all the new teachers who are coming, or if you're thinking about coming, it's really, really important to know which homeroom teacher belongs to which class. Usually because it's, like I said earlier, you might want to talk to them if you're having a problem with like some of the students, or just in general to know what the class will be like. Yeah. Honestly, when before I came and I saw certain classes kind of have a characteristic to them. They have personality. And when I found out who their homeroom teacher was, it just all of a sudden made sense.
Yeah.
It's funny because the classes that I liked the most were actually of the homeroom teachers that I was closest to. And that was before I even had known that was their class.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I used to teach high school back in America. And, like, every class you teach in America is up to you. Like however you want that class, you can kind of make that class.
Yeah.
But, we're not real teachers here. We're just guest teachers.
Yeah.
And the homeroom teacher has the say for everything. So I have some really good homeroom teachers I work with. But I also have some not the best ones. And their classes were not good.
Yeah.
They didn't listen to me. They were talking and disrespectful most of the time because they were allowed to be that way with their homeroom teacher. So it's a little frustrating, like, how much kind of influence their homerooms have on the your entire kind of interaction.
Yeah. And we don't really want to confuse you, but you'll have like co-teachers, and your co-teachers are subject teachers.
Sure.
They may or may not be a home teacher. Usually they aren't. So it's not usually their class. But I will say sometimes they will have a really, really big kind of hold on the class, and they'll just be really respected, so the class listens to them.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many times before, like, say, testing period, the homeroom teacher will come approach me and be like, our class is going to stay in because they need to take supplemental lessons. English class, there's no English class. Yeah. And your class is canceled. And that's it. Yeah. It's her class. It's their class. They do what they want. If English class is canceled, it's canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's homeroom. I mean, there's a lot more other stuff, but I think we're going to talk about specifically the Korean surprise with changing things in another Waygook.
Yeah.
So what's the second interesting thing about working in Korea?
So Korea has very strange heating and cooling systems. we just kind of had a breezy, colder winter.
I mean, I'm from Texas. It was pretty cold. It wasn't as cold as a lot of people told me it was going to be cold, but it was pretty damn cold.
Yeah, and it might be kind of like a cultural thing, but Koreans really like to leave the windows open for like ventilation. They don't really like rooms being stuffy, and the same goes for schools. And leaving windows open doesn't really do well with heating and cooling, right? As you may know.
Yeah, like Korea, I mean, like many Eastern countries, they don't have central anything. They don't have central air. They don't have central heating. It's usually just one thing in the corner of the room that cools and heats. So, for example, in the winter, we still got to go to school. Like sometimes I'm teaching or I'm sitting in the office and you can see my breath. Like it's cold. Usually most teachers bring blankets. They're wearing their outside jackets while they're teaching.
I do that. I did that the whole winter.
Yeah, me too. And you know, we only got here at the tail end of summer. By the tail end of the summer, it was so hot and so sweaty when we were in the school. Luckily, my teacher's office has like a nice-ish, larger sized unit that's like on the ceiling. But I know a lot of other teachers that don't. They have to suffer like with you have like a small personal heater, right?
I do.
But they're like illegal, I think, or you're not supposed to use them technically.
So, one, they're a fire hazard, and two, they suck up a lot of electricity if every teacher's using it. So they kind of send out an email saying, "Oh yeah, try not to use them," but every teacher uses it because it's freaking freezing.
Yeah, I mean, since we have a nice one, nobody ever uses it in my school. But Korea's also, when we got here, they were on a electricity.
They were
limit.
They were. It was definitely blackout problems, and a few of their power plants were kind of like shut down.
Yeah.
So heating and air and cooling are kind of a big deal in Korean schools.
And you know, as a teacher, that's really important because when the students are uncomfortable, they act uncomfortably.
Yes. And they respond to their environment, right? If it's going to be freezing in your room and they're wearing really big puffy jackets, kind of huddled up, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel sleepy.
Yeah.
If it's really, really hot and like kind of like sticky and you're kind of feeling antsy-pantsy, they're going to act out more.
Yeah.
So,
you kind of got to roll with it.
There's nothing really you can do, but just expect.
Yeah. It's very different. You know, Texas is not the hottest. I mean, sorry, it's not the coldest. But like, you know, I'm sure I think I remember asking the teacher, and it cost maybe like $3,000 or $4,000 a day just to run the air conditioning in a school in Texas. And Korea definitely doesn't. You know, they just, whatever the weather is, they just kind of let it ride. So, all right. The third interesting thing is that Korean schools have this thing for the teachers called a Hweshik.
Hweshik.
Yes. And that is kind of like a teacher bonding meeting, sort of.
Yeah. So this is kind of not particular just to Korean schools. Like Korean businesses will do this. Like you're just going out as like a department or something. But Hweshiks happen varying from school to school, depending on your budget. My school, we only have Hweshiks when it's a big deal. We had a Hweshik when our vice principal left, and maybe like once a semester. But some of our friends, some of our chingus, they have like Hweshiks like every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Or they'll have a smaller one with just their English department or just their grade level. But I also very rare. It's
because they have budgets, right?
Yeah. But so what do you do in a Hweshik? Like, you know, you're thinking, I'm just going out, maybe eating with my friends, my coworkers. What is it like?
9 times out of 10, there will be alcohol, and you will be forced to drink. If you do not drink, you must make it known to them. At least like cheers them with water. It's really, really important because Korean culture, you get close to people by sharing food and alcohol with them. Yeah. So even if you aren't drinking, try to drink like soda, pop, whatever, and just be a part of like the merriment.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not just a little bit of drinking.
It is a
lot. Drinking. Now, I am different because when I showed up, I told them I don't drink. So they don't ask me to drink. They don't bother me to drink. There's not any pressure for me to drink, which is really nice because I just don't drink. But some people really like to drink, and they're okay with drinking a lot. But if you're like in that like middle area where you're like, you like to drink, but you don't like to drink too much, and you're afraid of people pressuring you,
You will get pressure.
You will get pressure a lot. I think you should just say, I don't drink, and then say, when you do want to drink, you can just drink a little, and that will surprise them.
And it'll be more meaningful to them because you don't drink and you're drinking to kind of like be close to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But for example, like when do they drink? I mean, not only are you drinking when you're eating, but usually an important person, the principal, vice principal, will walk around with one bottle of soju and one glass, and he'll sit down next to you, and you got to do a thing. So what's that thing?
So in Korean culture, we'll probably release a Waygook about drinking habits later on, but usually what will happen is a very, very like high ranking like teacher will go around like with the bottle of soju, or a very, very like new teacher like myself. When I first went to my first Hweshik, I went around with a bottle of soju and one shot glass, and I went around and I gave them the glass and they accepted it, and I poured a shot for them to drink. And usually they know what the deal is. They only like take like an eighth of a shot. Yeah. And they
know they're probably gonna have to do a couple.
Yeah, and they drink it, and then they give the same glass to you, and they pour it for you. Yeah. Now, if they love you, if they really, really like you, they'll fill your glass full. And in one Hweshik, I drank like 2 bottles of soju in about an hour, and I was.
Yeah, I think the most fucked up you ever been was from a Hweshik. Like you went on vacation, right? A school vacation or something.
It was like a training. It was basically a weekend long Hweshik, basically. And oh my goodness, I was so drunk. In front of like your work colleagues too. And I drink a fair amount. I do enjoy the occasional drink. Don't say anything. And like I was quite drunk like throughout the weekend, and that is just kind of what Hweshiks will be like. It's very drinking heavy. You'll go eat. You go to a second place called Icha, Samcha, like Sacha, like
second round,
third round, fourth round, and like I've been to like Ocha, like the 5th round, and you're drinking every single round. Like you're going to Norebang, you're going to play billiards, you're going to just like a hof, like a bar. And this is after you've eaten dinner and you've done the soju bottle passing around thing. Like you will get seriously drunk if you're not careful. Yeah.
And there's it all depends on kind of who you're working with too. Like for example, even though I don't drink, my coworkers don't really do that. A lot of them are married, they have kids, they're older, they can't go get blasted anytime they want. They got to go home and cook dinner for their husbands or whatever, because that's what women still do here. So it's very different. Now you have a lot of younger guy teachers, and they get get crunk.
So obviously it varies from school to school. I work at a technical school, so a lot of my teachers do drink, and there are quite a few teachers in their 30s, maybe about 10 or so. So they may or may not be married, and they may not do that. If you are not close to your teachers, you might not really have to go to Hweshiks even at all. No. I'm not really pressured to go to Hweshiks, but I'm close to a good amount of my Korean teachers, and they will like you more if you drink with them and eat with them. Yeah. So
that's how you become friends. It's very important. That's how you get used. Like it sounds weird. Like I'm gonna get fucking wasted with my entire work population.
Teachers,
Like in America, they'd be like that. You'd be looked heavily down upon. I think if you got fucking blasted, but here it's a controlled blast. I'm sure if you got in a fight, if you did like normal American crazy drunk shit, they're not gonna really be appreciative of that. But yeah. So I think on in general, you're much closer to your work coworkers than I am, because I'll stay at a Hweshik for like an hour, and then I'm tired because I don't know Korean, so I can't really talk to a lot of them, and I just go home.
Yeah, and if you're not really a big drinker, try to sneak out early, and also just be aware that if you do go to Hweshiks, like you'll find out so much more about your teachers, and you'll find out how many more teachers will speak to you in English. That will try to speak to you in English. It's astounding about how close you can get from Hweshiks.
Cool. So what's the 4th thing?
So our 4th thing is that Korea doesn't have a substitute teacher program. They they don't hire substitute teachers. They don't have substitute teachers. When you're sick, you're in trouble. They don't really take sick days anyways.
Yeah. Like, and that's crazy because, like, I don't take many sick days back in America, but some days you're sick. You're around kids all the time. You're working your butt off. You know, you're tired. You get sick.
You get sick.
So in America, all I do is I go to this online system. I log in and I say, yo, I'm sick this day. And my school has this calling system. They'll start calling out subs and until they find one. And then you're like, you got it, you're good. The worst thing you have to do is write a lesson plan for the substitute teacher. Like, you know, I'll wake up at 4 a.m. like feeling like shit. I still got to spend an hour writing a lesson plan. But I send it off to my administrator, and they all get it taken care of. And you know, use the sick day, you get paid still, you're fine. As you said, Korean teachers, they don't have substitutes. And I think maybe I've seen only one person take one day off, and that was because of like a family emergency. But you know, if you're not there have been times when they're not there.
Yeah.
But just other teachers have to cover you.
Yeah.
And Koreans are very like, they don't want to
burden someone else with like their responsibility.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times they'll show up like in a sick mask, like about to die.
Yeah.
And they will still like teach.
Yeah.
And it is on one hand really amazing to see their dedication, but on the other hand, like, you're sick, go home.
Yeah.
Like,
and the same thing goes for the students. Students will come to school sick. Yeah. Like, we just had a graduation. There are people that, you know, they haven't missed a single day of school for like 3 years, you know, since they've been in the school. And it's like, that's a lot. And I know some of those people have been sick because I've seen them. They look like shit. They don't learn anything that day. But they're still in school suffering because that's kind of the Korean mentality. Yeah. And, you know, when I found out they just don't have substitutes, it just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that's important because we can't really take a day off.
Yeah. I mean, you can. You can take a day off, but realize that you will probably be expected to, you know, be dedicated to your job, right? And your school may be really lax that if you're sick, they're fine. Like, you don't have to come to school.
It's all your principal is the king. Like, there's a saying,
his little fiefdom.
Yeah, yes. Like in Korea, principal is very different than being a principal in America.
Yeah.
Like, he can do almost whatever the hell he wants. So if he's kind of an asshole, you're gonna have you just can't.
Like if you went around and poured him a shot of soju and you didn't drink it, like when he poured you one, you're not gonna get any sick days. He's not gonna be able to let you go home.
Sure.
Like, you're not close to your principal, you're in trouble.
Like, for example, I'm relatively okay with my assistant principal, but you know, I have some friends that are getting married. My two best friends are getting married to each other in November, and I have to go to that wedding.
There's no way you're not going to that wedding, right?
And you know, I asked to go to it last month. So that's 10-ish months ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I want to, go back to America. I want to take at least 5 days off.
Yeah.
So I can, I can actually go, not just ride on a long ass plane, go to the wedding, ride on a long ass plane back. Yeah. But you know, in America, that'd be no problem. It's like, it's well in advance. You prepare a lesson, you get a substitute. It's all good.
If you have enough days, just take it.
Yeah, you just take it. But here, it's like, number one, he doesn't even have to let you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just take a sick day. They have to approve it.
Yeah. It is in your contract that you have certain, like, sick days, but if you are going to be steadfast and like use them, then be prepared to be kind of ostracized.
Yeah.
It's not normal for you to take sick. I haven't taken a single sick day, and I think I was really, really sick one time at the start of winter when the weather changed, and I, you know, hustled my butt to school and I taught, and they were like, "Oh, you have a cold?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do have a cold." They're like, "Oh, you should go." They said, "Oh, you should go home." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm fine." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Like.
And we have some other teachers that they've been really sick, and their co-teachers let them go home, and blah,
or they'll
blah,
like
blah,
personally take them to the hospital, like things like that. So it varies from school to school.
But like, weakness is a big thing in Korea, you know. Like, sure, they may let you go home, but in their mind, they may think, "Oh, she's weak,
or she's
not dedicated enough."
Yeah. He's not like, he doesn't love his job enough, or he's not like, you know.
Yeah. Like my mom and my sister is gonna come visit in a month, but I'm not allowed to take any days off for that. So I can only see them on the weekends, which kind of sucks because you have the days, but it's still up to them to approve whether or not you can use them.
Your principal is the king of his kingdom.
Yeah. Right? But all right, the last thing, which is really interesting to me as a teacher, from America, like, is this idea of the national teacher. Now in Korea, when you get a job as a teacher, you are like a national teacher. There are some like you're a trainer teacher. I forgot the word for it, but a temp teacher. They call it a temp teacher. A contract teacher for 1-year contracts. But so the way it works is like in Korea, you have zero control of where you teach.
Yes.
You may be able to select a region, like a state, quote unquote, but they can put you anywhere they want.
Yes.
And you have no choice.
Yes. Because you're under the national teacher registry.
Yes.
Because you've passed the national teacher's test, and then you're
and it
registered.
is a very hard exam to pass.
Super
a
hard.
lot of people want it because even though you have no control, it is a very secure job.
It's a government job, and government jobs, just like in America, they're secure.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't pay much, but secure is important. But the other thing is so they put you in a school. The maximum number of years that you're allowed to work there is 5 years.
Yeah.
Then you must move.
You don't have a choice.
And it's not always just move you to a school 20 minutes down the road. Sometimes it's a whole new region.
You might move to a whole different
whole new city.
Basically part of Korea.
Yeah. And you got to move your family. I mean, they help with that cost and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's a rule where first, if you're a new teacher, you have to start in the rural areas. Yeah. Once you get enough years on your belt, then you're allowed to move back to the city. But once you spend enough time in the city, you must, because my co-teacher was telling me, you must spend another 1 or 2 years in the rural area, then you can come back.
It's a little bit strange how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's crazy in itself. If you were a teacher, to have no control, especially from home, it's you work so hard to maybe get into a good school district.
Yeah.
You may be working at the best school in your district, in Korea, but then after your time's up, they may move you. Where could they move you? Yeah. Maybe the worst school in the district, and you just have no choice.
And it's strange because in the States, you kind of do it by state, right? You get credentialed by state of say I'm from California, by the state of California.
Sure.
And then you have a California teaching credential. You can go to a different state and just kind of transfer over your credentials and then teach in that state, right?
You have to take another test.
Yeah, wherever you go, you can just hop around at your leisure, right? Or you can go to a different part and then apply for a different school. It depends on what schools want to hire you, etc., etc. But here, the government for Korean teachers are you go there, you go there, you go there. And why that matters to you is because you might have different co-teachers all the time.
Yeah. So we came 6 months ago, and the new
year
year starts in March.
It starts tomorrow.
And, I had 19 new teachers come in, which doesn't sound like a lot back, at least in my school back home, because 19, it's 19 out of 100. It's not that bad. But here it's 19 out of 50.
Yeah.
And so that means you're working with new people. I'm going to be working with more new teachers than not new teachers.
Yeah.
My main co-teacher, who speaks the best English and I get along with really well, she's not my main co-teacher anymore. She got moved to a different grade that she didn't want to teach, but she had to because the principal said so.
Yeah.
My office had 12 people in it. 9 of them are gone, and a new 9 people are in there. So it's you're in a brand new school, brand new environment. It's just no consistency, and all of that happens a week before school starts.
Yeah. And that's why you'll have a spring break before school, but basically not for Korean teachers. Yeah. Korean teachers have so many things to figure out before New Year starts. And one of them is who's going to teach what, how many teachers they have for this, how many teachers they have for that. Yeah. And you might have a whole new co-teacher handler. You might have a new English teacher. Yeah. You might have new homeroom teachers, even a new principal. I have a new vice principal at my school, and
that matters back home, but it matters immensely more in Korea because almost all your things are based off of them. Right? Like their new homeroom teacher, it might change. New co-teachers might change. The principals will definitely change how the whole school works out. And so I'm actually kind of scared. It's like, I finally got used to it. You know, I finally found my groove, and then it changes.
And then you gotta find it again.
Yeah. Right. Gotta get my groove back.
Yeah.
The least watched Disney movie. Is that a Disney movie?
What? Emperor's New Groove? That is a fantastic. How dare you?
I didn't say it was did I say it was a bad movie? I just said it's the like one of the least watched. Is it a Disney movie though?
I'm pretty sure it's a Disney movie, yeah.
No, I like that movie.
That's a fantastic movie.
Not many people watch it.
I'm a llama again.
But on that note, that is it for episode 11. If you want to know anything, you should leave a comment and ask us. We're a little running low on ideas. Yeah. A little running low. I mean, we've done 11.
I mean, if you want us to extrapolate on anything that you've already heard in like this, like Waygooks or another Waygooks that you've heard about, just let us know, because we only have maybe like 2 or 3 topics besides this that are lined up. And when we started, we had like 15 things. So like we can talk about this and this and this and this and this. Now we're kind of running out of things because we've kind of gotten comfortable here, so we don't really know what we should be talking about, what kind of stands out, what is considered an experience and not. So
sure,
we know that for Epicers, a lot of you are here. A lot of you are here in our city, in other cities, and you want to know things. So this is going to be a pretty good resource for you. If you leave a comment, we read those. We read all the comments. So if you want to know something specific, we might answer you in the comments, or we might make a video about it. So comment.
Do it. And like and subscribe and all that.
Yeah. What we do other things besides this, don't we, Steven?
We do other things. What other things we do? We have a podcast every single week. You can find it on iTunes and on YouTube. Yeah. And it's where we talk about the news of that week and music videos of that week. Yeah. It's more in depth. It's about an hour long usually. Yeah. It's called This Week in K-Pop.
Yeah. Every Sunday for the video version on YouTube, and usually every Tuesday if you're on iTunes.
Yes. Podcast. Wednesdays, of course, Waygook Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Friday is we have our new segment called Fun Friday. It's called What Is That?
What is that?
That's a K-pop game, kind of a K-pop guessing game where you can play along with us. We're almost done with our first game. It's been 4 rounds or 4 episodes so far. Yeah. So check that out. It comes out on Fridays.
If you like K-pop. If you don't, then just keep watching these.
We'll watch some. I know there are some people that only watch it for the Waygooks, so
that's fine.
I hope you enjoy that. But until next time, we have school tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.